Welcome back to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. This is the talk. Usually I like to spread these videos out a little bit more, but shortly after posting the last one, I knew it was going to happen. The Hunter kit was released, but I think we found enough topics where we can flesh this out and make this a decent video. So here's what I want to talk about today. We're going to break down the kit like we usually do, where we strip out all the extra information and really focus down into it so we can start processing what it's really doing. Then we're going to do some speculation about the Bad Batch as we analyze that kit. There was a Conquest Post. There's a couple things there I think worth extracting. And then I want to talk about this Bo-Katan team I've been testing, partly because I know a lot more of you watch these videos and not the Grand Arena videos, and hopefully one of you will be motivated by it to relic your Gar Saxon and tell me if this team works with a relic Gar Saxon. And then, usually I don't do gearing this quickly, but I finally have the gear I need for gearing up the rest of the Jedi Master Luke requirements, so we are going to do that and then see how things go from there. First up, we have Hunter's kit. This is how it essentially functions. With the basic, it's a targeted attack that inflicts exposed. If the target was already debuffed, it's a second attack. First special, Shrouded Approach, AoE attack. Clone Trooper allies gain 2-turn evasion up and stealth. If they were already stealthed, then the Bad Batch allies gain crit chance and offense up. I would pay attention to that point. We'll get back to that stuff later. Second special, finish what we started. Inflicts exposed on target, that's unevadable. Swaps turn meter with a target clone. And if it's a Bad Batch ally, ignore taunt, inflict stun on target enemy, which is unevadable. Then the leader here that has a Zeta, a different path. There's a lot of interesting stuff here. Bad Batch allies gain plus 35% health, protection, and potency. That's one of the things I've been saying seems to be here to stay with new kits, is there's a lot of shared stats going on. It's one of those things that make marquee characters more competitive with the current game. If Bad Batch allies have defense up, deal true damage. If Bad Batch have evasion up, gain 50% crit avoidance. If enemy was target locked, can't counter the Bad Batch. And if enemy is exposed, Bad Batch remove 50% turn meter from the target when they do an ability, and that's doubled for Droid and Separatist, which is unavoidable, unresistible. What I find most interesting about this post is there's a lot of clues here that hint at other things on top of the elements that are explicit. So first off is they have the dates for the future kit reveals. Basically it's every Thursday but the 22nd, so 3 out of the 4 Thursdays of the month we'll be getting additional kit reveals. Those are obviously going to be the other Bad Batch allies. Now, we look here, we got Combat Prowess. That again is the targeted attack with a chance to attack again if the enemy's debuffed. We have the AoE attack that gives crit chance up if Hunter was already stealth. And I think that's interesting because you look at the leadership, how there's these elements of conditional bonuses that occur. And this is one of those things where I wonder if crit chance up and offense up are being added to Bad Batch allies. Is that something that we're also going to see with other characters within the Bad Batch, where if they have crit chance up or offense up, do they do additional things? Because I think there's going to be a lot of synergy here. Because one of the things I'm really expecting from this squad in general is it is going to be very light side geo viable. Maybe not at lower gear, but this, you look at the amount of ways CG has created for themselves to make money this year, very limited. What they've now released, or what they're about to do, is release an entire squad that needs to be geared up quickly in order to get use out of. That is a pretty decent way to gain a bunch of income outside of releasing a legendary or doing a galactic legend. Because other marquee characters, like the previous marquee characters this year, those are one-offs where maybe you spend the money to gear them up, maybe you don't. The Bad Batch, they're going to be, you need to spend the money on all of them. So we continue through here with finish what we started. Interesting, inflict expose on target enemy, but the most interesting part of here is the turn meter swap, just like JKR or Thrawn. I think that's a great ability. Have another character that can be doing that, especially when it applies also to clone trooper allies. That's another thing that I think is a very interesting hint, because you have Bad Batch allies, you have clone trooper allies, and then we have Echo. So there is a good chance here. I mean, I would say it's inevitable we will get a Bad Batch version of Echo. Question is, do we get that this year? I don't think so. I think most likely what we're going to see happen is we will either get a Bad Batch clone on Echo, or we get verbiage within one of the kits that says, if Echo, then X. That way you get synergy with Echo, but not necessarily having to have a new one, because I think a new Echo is going to be something in the future, possibly like when Season 2 comes out, where they're able to elevate the entire Bad Batch squad that they're now introducing by adding a future character in Echo. And I think a lot of what we're seeing now is based on the last season of Clone Wars, and things we'll see in the future are going to be based on this first season of Bad Batch. Now, there's also that element of ignoring taunt, inflicting stun. I can see a lot of useful utility there, especially, and they show the droids here, and that leads into the leadership as well. But here with the leadership, what I really want to focus down on are these conditional elements of the kit, where if they have defense up, they deal true damage. If they have evasion up, they have crit avoidance. Well, one thing we have in the Bad Batch, and I did this in my rant in the last talk video, was how they're extremely tropey characters. But because of those tropes, we can really predict what's about to happen. You've got Wrecker, who's probably going to be giving defense up to the entire squad. You have Tech, who is the boosted intelligence guy. He's probably going to be giving evasion up to the entire squad. And then you have Crosshair, who is the sniper and the more loner, stealth-based kind of character. He's probably going to be inflicting target lock onto the enemies. So there's a lot of elements we can extract and start predicting about what we're going to see with this entire Bad Batch squad based on just this kit, and that's what I find very interesting. And as I was saying a moment ago, I think it's very clear, because of how difficult light side Geos is, this is probably going to be one of those squads that's designed to beat light side Geos for those who want to pay for it. So the last element I'm looking out for as I speculate about these forthcoming Bad Batch kits is, if you remember Echo here, when he got touched up when all the 501st clones were getting their touch-ups before gas was released, is he had this Omega ability that never ended up having any use. So I never put the Omega on, where he does more damage if he has crit damage up. And none of the 501st clones ended up doing that. Now here with the Bad Batch, we don't see it with Hunter's kit, and I was looking out for it. But very likely, I think Tech or Crosshair could be giving crit damage up, which will at least give a little bit of synergy, Bad Batch synergy, with Echo, if we don't fully get a new tag. But that's something I'm looking out for in those other kits, and possibly finally give me a reason to apply that Omega. Next up is we have this post that CG did on Friday. I wasn't even going to really address it, but there was a couple interesting elements here that I wanted to extract from this post. One is when they're talking about the cadence here, and they reiterate from previous posts, is that they want Conquest to run for 2 weeks and then have 2 weeks off. what they say in the next portion here is for April, Conquest will begin in the middle of the month to allow us the time we need following the conclusion of the first two events. For me, that is implying that that's not how they intend to do things. I think they may have alluded to this before, that Conquest will begin on the beginning of the month and then the final 2 weeks of the month be off. So that means at some point we will have to have back-to-back Conquests again in order for that cadence to occur. So possibly that'll happen right now, where we go April to May with back-to-back Conquests, or at some future time we'll be seeing that in order for them to hit that timing. The other thing they talk about is earlier this week they were, or maybe it was last week, they were explaining that there's this Jedi Knight Luke interaction that they're going to be eliminating, and then they have, in that portion there is very interesting. It's this next portion here, where they're saying following Conquest will likely feature the introduction and removal of a few data disks, different bosses, and a change in the rewards. So the rewards thing I'm interested in, that might be gear, that might be the mod slicing mats, it might be other elements. I want to see what will happen there. I think some players especially were disappointed with the gear rewards, especially with the hard mode, because the hard mode rewards were much more weighted towards end game players, and you could easily complete a lot of hard mode without being that class of player. There were 4 million GP players, some even lower, being able to handle all of hard mode. Razor Crest is really all I care about. The other element here, though, is really the data disks. Like, one of the things that was going around on Reddit and other YouTube videos was, with the right set of data disks, you could create an infinite loop. I think it's very likely that that is what's being discussed here, is they're going to probably eliminate some of those mechanics that allowed players to kind of just coast and cheat through a lot of the higher sectors within this game. I would look for that to be one of the things that's really changing, or at least reducing the chance that you will see those kinds of data disks, like those cooldown data disks. Those were very common. They were also single dot. Maybe those types of things are the things to be looking out for to change with future Conquest. So before we wrap up with the gearing of my roster, I want to draw some attention to this Bo-Katan team that I've been testing out in Grand Arena and some other places, because I know not everyone watches Grand Arena videos. I'm hoping that some of you will find the mechanics interesting enough as well that you either have a Relic Gar Saxon and can tell me how it goes, or will be motivated to gear one up and see if it functions better, because mechanically this team works and it's very interesting and has a lot of potential, but Gar Saxon, at least mine, at gear 11 doesn't do enough damage, or a gear 9 Bo who's 3 stars doesn't do enough damage, or doesn't offer enough shared stats to do enough damage. The idea is Gar Saxon has a 100% chance to assist when an ally counters. The Armorer with 3 stacks of Beskar gives a 100% counter chance, and Bo-Katan with the lead, with her lead ability, will taunt, thus drawing the attacks towards her and ensuring that Gar Saxon is assisting every time she is countering. And this matchup wasn't perfect because Ewoks have stealth, but I've tested it a few times and just Gar Saxon just doesn't have enough damage. But mechanically you see it working and how this team could work, where Gar Saxon is almost always going. The last time I did it was up against a more defensive team, and those tankier characters just, it became a timeout, I believe. It didn't work. So it's mechanically extremely interesting, and I would like to see how it goes. I'm going to continue playing with it, maybe bring my Gar Saxon up to gear 12, or bring Bo up to gear 11, and then as soon as I can star her up, see if it gets any better. But in the meantime, hopefully some of you can look at it as well and see if it eventually becomes something with a relicked up Gar. Last time I geared was barely a week ago, right before the Grand Arena sign up the last round. Usually I give this stuff more time. I was going to wait until the next Grand Arena sign up, but because I'm doing this video, I think it's a good time to just gear up these characters for Jedi Master Luke. One of the things that had changed that my hold on the top 100 of my squad arena has become more and more precarious, where now there's like only a couple slots each pay out to climb into that area, and that pushed me to take my crystal savings and shift that into just buying up the rest of the gear that I needed. So I went from like I think 27k in crystals down to 18k in crystals. So basically 9,000 crystals I spent to get the rest of these gear 12 pieces so that I could take the rest of these characters up to relics. And I'll do the next portion of, I'll increase the relic levels off video, but this portion here I'll at least show you guys. Why does this happen sometimes? That's old Ben. The other thing I need to do is I need to make sure I have the relic materials or the gear 12 materials I need to take Master Luke up to relics right away. I have plenty of gear to get him to gear 12 right away. And then the other element I need is it's time to relic Jedi Knight Revan so that I can have a really good Jedi team to pair with Jedi Master Luke. And I need to tweak mods a bit. I know that uses a faster Luke than Jedi Knight Luke lead. Okay, there are all the Jedi Master Luke requirements for my first Galactic Legend. We're beginning the process of the first Galactic Legend. Here we go. This is what I'm looking for. There it is. And again, the progress on all the other ones. It's pretty good. I can pivot pretty quickly to all these other ones. Really, Rey and SLK are pretty close. Not pretty close, but relatively speaking. But I think what the next step is going to be is getting a bunch of the relics on other characters that I want. And actually that, maybe we'll hint at that. I think we'll do a future video on this kind of stuff, but that's what this top two rows here are basically the next relics that I want outside of the Jedi Master Luke needs and any other needs. Like, I want these relics for Grand Arena and for other purposes. So I think after I focus down on these characters and build up stores of a lot of gear, then I'll look at other Galactic Legends. Really, I want to see what is the next meta that CG has in mind, and from there I'll decide if I go for that or if I go for a second Galactic Legend. So thank you for watching. We rushed this video out. I actually wanted to do this video yesterday, but then I went to take a nap and I woke up the next morning. So the nap turned into more of a sleep. And I am working on another list video for this week, and I know those videos are the videos that get the most engagement and also are a lot of fun and more enjoyable for a lot of the viewers here. I want to get those kinds of videos out more regularly, so I have one that I'm planning on and I'm working on right now, and I'm shooting for Monday-ish, maybe Tuesday, but I'm shooting for Monday to get another one of those kinds of videos out. Just there's a lot of prep work for the one that I'm planning that I got to break down, create some graphics for, process that data, and we'll get that video out soon. So thank you guys for all the support. Thank you to all the new subscribers. Really helps motivate me to keep this channel going and to get more content out quicker. So be safe out there, everyone. And as always, be excellent to each other.